Okay, let me see if I can simplify what we're aiming at here. This is the white line is the closing prices. The black line is the range of the bars. And the grid is set to 100 pips on the big black. And the skinny one's 50 pips. I think crude oil is set to a buck grid. The dollar index is set to the same grid that the Forex market's using. The euro dollar is set to the same grid. So these are the 7 majors. Right? This is 7 majors of all Forex trading. And I left out all the cross, like euro versus pound, all these wild pairs. So this is all the dollar. This is the dollar. And in a sense, this is, based on the dollars, the petrodollar. I think they call it the petrodollar. There's a petrodollar here, so. Then we have gold. I'm sorry, we have silver up here. That's a weekly. I gotta set that daily. Oops. My bad. So here's a daily silver chart using the grid from, I think this is the same as the Forex grid. But I have to check it. So you want to check it. Okay, this is 50 pips and 100. So this is the same as the silver and the Forex market share the same scripts. So how do we know our trade plan is going to work on silver? Is because, it's the same as gold. And Ethereum also is, now this one could be set different. Let's take a peek at the indicators. This is also a Forex grid for Ethereum. So Bitcoin and gold, they're going to need big grids, and I don't have them, so I'm not using them. The other indicator I'm running, which I don't run, I got to turn it on here, is insert indicators. Go to Bill Williams. Why don't you just call himself Bill? Like Will is Bill? Duh. I just go to fractals. Apparently it's the last one I picked, so it's ready to go. So the fractal's telling you that the market has moved 3 bars up and 2 bars down, and it's going to put a diamond on the top. If it's done 3 bars down and 3 bars up, it's the idea that there's a 5 bar. If you read his books, it's a hump. I call it the middle finger. The market's giving you the middle finger there. That is the top tick Tommy on the dailies. So right now, just this right here is a lot, I think, for anybody to look at. And maybe I should delete these. These are supposed to be my entry windows for this week where I want to start buying. I just love to buy stuff. I'm like Imelda Marcos, but pips are shoes, So this is I got to refresh that a little bit. Okay. So I got this queued up. Deleted all my objects, all my analysis. So the current analysis is going to be like this. I got 100 pip stops. I got 50 pip stops on my tickets I could run. So I go to my script bank and I'm going to pick out my how much I want to risk. But for here, we're just going to draw. We wouldn't know what 50 pips looks like here. And we're just going to draw a window. And I'm pretty much saying, yeah, all next week, I'd certainly buy all the way down on the dollar. Some kind of dead cat bounce. There's got to be some little noise trade available in this zone here. And this is about as crude as it gets. And this is also the risk profile. So after you've established the template you're going to use, is this going to be a 100 pip template? Are you going to risk 200 pips? I could put up a 200 pip grid and you're going to say stuff like, man, look how the market turns around at the 200 pip handle. That's fucking crazy. So I'm not going to go there right now, but all you got to do is put on a 200 pip grid and go, man, look at this thing, respect the 200 pip grid. Yeah, because it does turn around at some point. Not exactly at 200. I'm giving this is the dollar CAD trade I was talking about with the guy out of Britain. And so I said I'm buying into this plunge. This is a swing trade. So you're buying below these fractals. You're putting all your tickets below that fractal. And this is about 100 pip drama here. And up, down, up, down. It looks like, it just went down and up. No, it went up and down here quite a few times, and there was a scalp into the floor. So to zoom in, we'll zoom in on there in a second, but I think you see what I'm saying there. Just that little move there, all that is, you'd be looking for here. So as soon as you come into this shelf here where it gets really ripe and below, dollar Swiss goes below the line, high probability, that's unsustainable. So not a high probability win, but as far as momentum goes, closing prices, you know. So we have our checklist here, so to speak. We're gonna pick the template, how many pips, and then we're gonna pick the time frame, and we're gonna pick our orders. Our trade plan is gonna be based on, in this system here, because it's a daily chart, we're gonna run 200 pip stops, 150 pip stops, 150. So if you have 4 levels, 50 pips apart on our trade plans, that's going to be 8 trade plans for the risk management, risking anywhere from $50 to, from $5 to $20, enables us to run a 200 pip stop, and we can make risk to reward ratios that are kind of clunky. So if you're going to do 50 pip, I could write just a pure kind of drop system where you're going to come in and you're going to risk anywhere from in increments of 5, and your ratios for winning, you risk 200 to make 100, you risk 100 to make 100, you risk 50 to make 100, these kind of things. You might end up with like 48 scripts. Now 13 instruments, of course you don't have to trade everything, but you can see where the buys and sells are probably coming in. And so the classic analysis that people use is, we've heard this a million times, top becomes bottoms, bottoms become tops. Of course, it's contextual of where we think we're moving into a void or not. So I just wanted to say that this is the frame of time. The chart is the frame of time, but the time frame is each bar. So we're inside this fractal situation already where this whole chart, if you were to say, are we at the bottom of the chart or the top of the chart? Well, right now, if the chart is the frame, if in other words, the time frame is literally or the frame of time starts over here and goes all the way, right, this whole space. And maybe you think you're at 618 of this chart, but if I blew this chart up, you'd say, well, in the big picture, that's why this talk about the big picture, it's like, how big a picture are you looking for? And where's that target? What's that trade about? Well, gosh, my head's just kind of just coming unwrapped from all the charts. I'm recovering from CR charting syndrome right now, but like this is a clunky, obvious trade. You're buying down here below this fractal, and you're waiting a week to get paid 200 pips. Hey, I mean, if you load the wagon here, you're at the bottom of the chart too. I guess you could say things like, well, you know, you are near the bottom of the chart, off the chart. You've heard that term, off the chart. So at this point, was this not off the charts? Were people just going, oh my God, this thing is just, like, it's overbought because it's at the top of the chart. Your time frame you picked was here. Now, if I blow it up, you'd be like, oh shit. Now, if I go to the weekly, you're gonna be like, holy shit. If I go to the monthly, you'd be like, holy shit. Are you buying up here? So time frame, but I've actually got this other thing. I can change the frame of time. If I go like this, I'm like, oh Jesus, look at this, man. Look at this trend line break. But how many failed breaks of the trend line are there? Just a pant load of failures. The whole time you're dropping down. Now I'm just going to jump into this so-called technical analysis. I mean, it's only technical in the sense that, okay, this is definitely a momentum issue. The market's starting to triangulate. It's a real thing. It's not made up. And this is why people build Gartleys and all that bullshit. So, obviously, I think it's a triangle. Here, let's just do a triangle. Fucking A. So go to Customize. And we got all sorts of tools in here. Try to stay away from the complicated shit. So we're just going to go for a triangle. Insert triangle. That doesn't sound good. And this could be a different color, too. So we got options of different colors here. I don't know what the first color is going to be on that, but Okay, blue. There you go. There's your Gartley pattern right there. Gartley pattern, my ass. So, this is the view of the momentum dying, but I think it's more about the vacuum that's forming here, right? So we got this vacuum. That's not working out for me, is it? Trying to manipulate the triangle. It's not working for me. Oh, these guys are too close together. So we got this void that's filling up. You know, this is a very, and you could make claims about, well, you know, and here's the, so the triangles are real. You know, do triangle patterns really exist? Yeah, sure. But, like, dude, you're in the seller's window this whole time. I mean, how is this not Cell City? I gotta adjust something here. Okay, so let me set this up. This color's not. It's rocking my. It's hurting my brain. That color. I have color issues. So, trying to get the colors here to make sense. We're at Top Tick Tommyville. Now, if you frame this chart out, you're like, holy shit. Like, that's a lot of fucking pips, dude. That's a whole lot of pips. You ever heard A Whole Lot of Love by Zeppelin? That is unsustainable. How do you even trade that? Actually, I scalped the top of that a little bit, but then I scalped the pullback here on the end of the day, and I'm waiting for, I mean, what the fuck's going to happen, right? So the daily view of that is, well, there's plenty of chances to get in. So when I look at this, I say, how in the fuck would you get in this trade? Well, there was the only one chance to get in on the dailies was for you to, oh, that's the weeklies, sorry. But on the weeklies, if you wanted to really just go, well, I'm a weekly trend trader and I got a itty bitty pullback, I got a little doji here, I think I'm going to jump on board the northern trains. What's that look like? It's kind of like, it's crazy. It's just one little notch here. And actually, this spiked up and then it kind of ripped back here. Here's your other pullback on the weekly. Pulls back 500 pips for you to get aboard the train. Now, what kind of systems? This is 2018 back here, so I've got to keep this in perspective. That there's not many people that are waiting for the trend line break here. It comes back, retests the double top, and they go, you know what? We're going to load the wagon right here because it looks like, in fact, here, this accumulation phase sideways for 200 pips is sideways on the weeklies. After, okay, this has got to be, I'm sorry, this is Corona here. I don't know what the fuck this is. This is another debacle. Look how it nicks the fractal wicks. And now we're on the weekly chart. So, wow, what a rip. It's just mind-blowing. Now we've got the daily charts. Here's another triangle. Now, honestly, I'm going to tell you there's very few people that did not trade until it got to here and they go, you know what? This is a 618 pullback of whatever the fuck. And they're like, we're getting in here like you can't believe, right? That's not happening. I don't think that's happening to too many people. But how do we know that? How do we know you're not using that stuff to make money? And that's why these kind of pullbacks, if you're scalping all the time, oh, it may go to here, and it does go to here. But there's a thing about, look at all these beautiful, now this is when the systems like mine are cashing in. So I'm buying all this triangle. And I'm thinking, well, trend line wise, and all trend lines All trend lines are just a display of momentum, and they should be on closing prices. If you've got moving averages on closing prices, why are you putting your trend lines on the wicks? doesn't make any sense. So always put your trend lines on closing prices. For God's sakes. For the love of Pete. Let's see here. I'm missing my tool. All right, this is going to be, I should extend this in time, but so you're right about the trend line, right? Trend line on close. I mean, you should buy there. I don't know. Would you have bought this trend line? Touch. And this is the strictest trend lines you're ever going to... This is how you draw a trend line. I'm so sorry to tell people. Every time I see a guy drawing on the wicks, I'm like, that's not a trend line. It's not going to help you trade the rollover. If you believe that this trend line break in retest is the place to get in short, then you would have sold here. And as you move this down, there's another guy with a trend line here, or you have another trend line here. So it starts to look like a Gann fan if you put them all in. Let's take this up to a little more punchy color. Now, you got this, and this is your fulcrum, so to speak. Right? This is the arc of momentum up. And all these trend lines are doing is giving you a constantly adapting trend line, right? Computer's supposed to do it, but I don't think the computer, I don't know a computer that's going to do it like a human. If you have half a brain, you can do it, right? So you see, here's my starting gate is always here. This is when the move started, and these are adjusting trend lines. They're constantly adjusting. You pick every low. So this is videos I used to do all the time. I'm going to do that right now. So I have to adjust that trend line. It's not really accurate. So this one here is a little bit off kilter. Let me just make this a little bit more. So it's going to start looking like a Gann fan pretty soon, right? But if your inflection point is really this price, then you need to sell there. And maybe you're going to combine that with the fact that, you know what, everything above this is like insane. Anything in this territory is a place to think about selling. Always. Or cashing out of your longs. So I'm on the dollar yen, which is an insane pair. All yen pairs are mind-boggling insane. And you have to be the, very, very careful if you're going to not trade with stops. So if your account's a stop, then be prepared to lose all the money in your account. Okay, I'm just saying. Let's go to the everything above these two tops is a real big deal. Everything in that window is so crazy, and you really got to get out if you're in, I think, of something. And where does the inflection point come back to? I hate to use this indicator or this drawing tool that draws into the future too far, so I'm going to use a trend line to find the top become a bottom. And structurally speaking, this is the... Yeah, I should just put it on there. Fuck it. Let me customize this stuff. I pulled so much shit off of here in anger. So yeah, anger analysis is always rugged. You delete tools you were going to use, and let's see if I could just delete this one. Put in the classic horizontal line, but this will mean nothing in the future. Like, this is already one and done. I'm just putting it up here for just that thing you do. just to say, this is the place to get in. And why would you get in there when your trend line's already broke and it's pulled back and blah, blah, blah? Well, I think that's when, so the structure overrules any of these trend line breaks and all this kind of stuff. Besides, you should have made enough money with your trend line analysis to say, well, as soon as they break this double top, and that becomes, and then they break this trend line, and all these things start to vector in, they get this trend line here. It's like, oh my God. And you got this triangle forming up in this area now. This void's forming, just itching to be crushed. It's supposed to, and don't forget you got the slot of entry down here. So you got this premium price entry window. I'll make the pivots in yellow. This top became a bottom back here. Pretty tough. Like everybody's kind of getting all congested up here, and people are like, I don't know what's going to happen, but boy, oh boy, if I draw this line to here and this to here and I put this up here, it's like, holy shit, man, this is like a Garley pattern or something going on here. I don't know what the fuck. It's my pyramid trade. It's a golden pyramid. Yeah, you can really get lost in the visual aspects. But that's the fun of trading. That's what that guy said. It should be trading. A fun and profitable way to make money. There's my Gartley pattern. I got a Gartley. I'm all over the Gartley. So where do we get in? I think it's going to be like something like this. This looks like a great buy window. It's a Dodger blue buy. Now, if you look back in my course that I'm offering for $400 a minute, page 192.8, section 2, paragraph 1. You see I talk about the Dodger blue entry. That's kind of a secret. If you have any friends in an institution that have been institutionalized, please don't tell them about this pattern I'm about to describe here. Now, some of my most inner circle private members, I don't want to, because they spend a lot of money, on the secrets, so I can't just give them away for free here. So I'm just going to give you a hint and tease you with the idea that, the better prices, if you're a buyer, it's better to buy down here than it is to buy right now. Almost every time you think you have a bullish bias, check that attitude at the door, son. Now, so you have to check yourself and say, wait a minute. We're coming near my trend line. I'm kind of nervous about this trade. Should I start buying here? I think I'd start buying a little bit there. But if I buy there on the daily charts like this, I've got to think about taking the first 50 pips off the table. So my trade is this itty-bitty little thing here next week. Everything over here is just hindsight fun. This is hindsight fun. This makes you feel good. But what pays the rent? Unfortunately, you cannot trade the left side of the chart. This is according to Alexander Elger. So what do we got to do? Oof. Naked charting. Oh, no. Really? Naked charting. Oh. But I do have the pip grid to save yourself from being totally naked. So this is like a cage. It's like cage fighting. As long as you stay in the cage, son, you're going to win. So it's like, who's going to stand in front of this trade? So the reason why this is unavailable trade to most people, only institutional traders can trade like this, But really, who's short right now? Who's underwater from here? I don't think anybody that I know can handle even a 1K. This is like $1,000. This is like this is like $1,300 on a 1K. I mean, so this low volatility, low volatility, low volatility. Here's your trend. There's the trend. See the trend. 80% chop. Now here's the trend. This chop is going to be insane. Like, if we just dick around here for the next few days, what a gold mine for the guy that has a trade that can handle buying this area for all kind of shenanigans that's going to happen in that zone. My God, it's going to be kind of easy trading from the standpoint of just buying for whatever's going to go on here. I don't know what could possibly happen in that window, but it's going to be delicious, I should say, from a trading standpoint. It'll be very nice. Easy for me to think about. Easy for me to speculate about. And if I have a 100 pip stop and a 50 pip stop, I don't know, like to go 150, I figure, you know what? Let me try to get my stop to be, the widest stop is 100. I'm like, this is actually, no, just pause the tape if you don't like cussing, but I'm using the 100 pip stops at the market and on pendings when the market's dropping really hard like this. So this would be an instance where I would do it. I'd be like, you motherfuckers, really? I'm like, hey, that's a pullback. You know, who wasn't hoping for a pullback to get along the long train here? And or the guys that shorted it, or the guys that are short going, holy shit, we finally got some relief. Then now that momentum's dying out, for all we know, that's top tick Tommy for the year, for the next decade. Who knows? When you go to the monthly chart, you can certainly argue that we're really close to the top. You know, this is the void. So, no, you can't stand in front of this thing. You'd be stopped out. Your 200 pip stops every day. You'd be blown out of this thing. Now, granted, inside of this zone here, I'm sure there's a lot of great trades here, but for the most part, this screaming moment, if you traded every day, you'd kind of make your money back here from all this noise. And here. But no. Like as soon as we took this out, yes, you could have traded all the chatter above the new high, just like this, all the chatter above this structure level, all the new highs here in that chatter, and then all the new stuff there. But then when this thing started to crush, people were like, well, holy shit. When she broke this thing, and you're looking back like 20, 30 years, I don't even know. This might be a record. This could be a record. I don't know. Don't hold me to it. I'm just saying, typically, when you see a gush like this, so this is fueled by this void, and then this one is like, holy shit. People are like, my God, that ain't even coming back. There's not even a top become a bottom to board the train there. Then this, clean up. But these are decent trades. So this is tradable. This was tradable. This part's tradable. This part is not, like, you got to be aboard the train every day, hyper long. And even in this wick, you can't see it here, but this daily wick, there was scalps. Anytime you see a big bar, you know, inside that day. But look how the market heated up. We're down here just digging around, and 100 pip, like, this is easy pickings if you've got a 100 pip stop all day long for all this noise. Then crush. There's no fucking, dude, you can't. You can do it, but they're just going to stop you out. If you keep on consistently launching that trade plan, yes, now you got to trade your ass off. The guy that was saying, the guy that called in the show from, what was he in, fucking South Africa or something, he said, well, you know, you'll never make your money back on these tickets you're underwater. No, you won't. No, there's no fucking way. You're stopped out, because with that logic, it means you got to have a 2,000 pip stop and ride this all the way back to the starting gate. No. if your robots are built around this kind of price action or this amount of volatility, this kind of stuff, you're looking for 200 or 300 pip swings. Your swing trader on the daily did really good this month. Did really good here. Kind of okay here, but this is a little rugged. You made most of your money with all this bullshit. This one, no. Right? You didn't, like, unless you're trading, this is too trendy. 80% sideways, 20% trend. Sideways trend. Okay, so let me go back to the looking into next week. Let's blow through these 13 instruments here. This will be like a weekly update kind of concept. Okay, go back to, so I get carried away, but, you know, this is the thing you got to realize is that, you know, this monthly chart does matter in that sense. Like rips like this. So what you're hoping for right now is it's going to come back to here, you know, just like on this giant plunge back to here. But look at all the trading. And once again, if you're going to say, well, I'm only going to buy here, here's a top become a bottom setup. Here's your perfect setup. You waited 2014, you got a really good trade in here based on, you know, it's crushing into the vacuum. This is the setup. That's the perfect, oh my God. And then bam. And perfect head and shoulders on closing prices. Then bam, back to the starting gate, just like it never happened. 2 years later, you're back to the same price. You're like, what the fuck is this? An exchange? Yeah, I don't see a trend. I do not see trends. I see this stuff. Corona wick. What are the? I explain these wicks. Somebody got explaining to do. I want to see the Mr. Forex in here in the morning. Explain these wicks to me. You know how many our retail traders got stopped out on that? They're fucking hog long on that shit, looking for this move, and you kept stopping them out. Institutional traders came in there, just keep stopping them out. Oh my God, I can't take it. Quit stopping me out. And then the big trend line break comes. Oh my God. I'm using the new squiggly trend lines. They're just amazing. Kate Bush, trend lines. So amazing. And the kaboosh. Boom. Like this one. Boom. Ka-boom. The yen is nuts. So it's going back to Chopville again. It's downtown, driving all the men crazy. Look at the 4-hour chart. So I'm working on my crypto stuff. The 4-hour chart. Wow. That's 100 pips from here to here. So now you see what I'm saying? If you buy this lonely wick to make 100 pips in 4 hours, that's my typical trade, is 4 to 8 hours back into the floor. That's my trade. It's so complicated. You mean you just put orders in a 50 pip window? Yeah. And then when it comes back to here, you get out? Yeah. Or I go through the auction into this. Doesn't it look so easy now? Like, here's your vacuum, 50 pip window. You put 5K in. You buy it. You dump it. Because you have to sell into the next vac. Then you buy. Then you top tick time, you sell, come back. Now you got to be careful, right? But not really. So you can't see it. But there's a great winning trade here. It takes out the high of the week, comes back into the breakout point from the previous Friday. Then rips. Then the sellers come in. Top tick Tommies get filled on this. They cash out. That's a 4-hour chart. Then Rip City. Oh my God. I sold into that. I sold this vac here. And I'm like, wow, I guess I should have held on to that trade. So I sold here, but I got out, I'd say about here, and then I bought more here. Dead cat bounce, and then I'm like, surely they can't go down and take this wick out. Oh yeah. So they took out this fractal, which is my entry. When I say took it out, I mean the guy that's long got kicked out of his trade if he put a stop in there. think it's kind of obvious. Who are we kidding? What else? Yes, this buy here, dump, long dump. So coming into tonight on the yen. I'm using the 4 hour because it's a little bit easier. Here was the big supply crush. So we're below the round. People are still looking to cash out here, so I'll be getting in with shallow tickets and deep tickets tonight on the dollar yen. Just for a bounce. I mean, it really isn't a serious down move. What else is there? Like I said, this is the chatter before the... now, here was a great buying opportunity. Buy that. Take your 50, your 100 pips off the table, sell into it, buy into it. So you kind of have to be a little bit of a buy and sell guy. I'd say this is a fractal for me is just one turnaround, but Williams is marking it off because he's counting 3 candles in, 3 candles down. The middle candle is that turn, so you don't get a double. And the next fractal doesn't show up till here actually, because all of this is kind of like trendish. So you know you're trending when you don't see fractals. That's how you know you're in a trend. Right now you're in a downtrend, but really? You want to get on the sell side of that on the 4 hour? I don't think so. Let's go to the daily. So looking at the daily, you don't have it's a low frequency trading setup, right? You sell these fractals for this trade. You sell this fractal for this trade. This one, but you don't really have a. So you could have sold this fractal, and this one you never got filled, right? If you got to sell here, you got filled. If you got to sell here, you got filled. And on the buys, you would have bought this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. So you would have got filled in a safe zone. Like the heavy hitters are going to buy everything below here for that trade. That'd be me. I buy everything in this vacuum for that trade, and I'm holding, and I'm holding, and I'm building, and I'm building. This is the daily chart. So let's go and take a snapshot view of the whole world. But the yen is certainly a prime example of why, if you lay sell limits into this, and you're down 800 pips in 1 month. Like, not to say there's not great trades here on the 4 hour chart. What goes on in here will blow your mind. All level 3 trading aside. Level 3 trading. It's level 4 membership with level 4 trading. Secret private memberships. God, I'm like an old person. I'm just starting to wake up now. It's 3:30 in the afternoon. So so hot last night. I couldn't move. I didn't want to move actually. I'm tired. I'm old. God damn it. I'm tired of just trading shit. So the super aggressive guys are long right now, and they're going to get longer if the dollar yen fills into this zone. I'm sure they're going to buy the shit out of it. And I'd be right there with them. I'm right on an institutional triangle. Load the rectangle. This could be top tick Tommy for the whole season of the witch. Yeah, look at the price on that yen. It blows my mind. You never hear about this in the news. So this is like insider trading right here, son. I'm talking about very special things here. If I find you talking about outside of, you know, the Fight Club rules. Come beat the shit out of you in the middle of the night. He mumbled something about order entry blocks, and we had to kill him. We took him out back, beat the shit out of him, and he feels better now. Step up to the plate. I say, boy, you want to be a big rooster? Okay, we're missing. We got to get back to the charts. So look back at the grid here. Let me clean it up again. Always start from scratch. You should be able to pick your trade plan out in 10 seconds. If you don't see your trade in 10 seconds, then your system's too complicated. I got to write that down. That's another rule of thumb. So if you can't decide which girl you want to bang at the bar, then you're gay. Yeah, I'm just saying. That's another rule of thumb. Rule of something. Rule of an appendage. Can't you be serious for a minute? You know, these are supposed to be instructional videos. All right, so I'm trying to compare apples to apples. I think I said that like 40 minutes ago. But I'm trying to compare apples to apples, oranges to dildos, and pips to ticks. I'm going to get, so I got this robot from Russia, 2 robots. When I mentioned something about naughty sex in the market, and these robots responded by going, hey, if you're over 18, it's some kind of Russian website, maybe for rent-a-brides. I think they're leasing a brides now. Lisa Bride. Her name's Lisa McBride? No, I'm leasing a bride. God, dude. Buy a vowel. Don't be so stingy with your logic. All right. I like the way these guys interact. I get some color interaction there. That is cool. All right, so I'm trying to say, well, what are we going to do here next week? Crude oil looks like it's... I'll go through the upper left-hand corner first. Try to be organized. I'm going to take the buy and sell. I'm going to show you the buy and sell voids I see. So it's what I see. I don't think it has to be necessarily, you don't have to believe what I'm saying. I'm not asking you to join the Scientology Thetan Denial Club, anything like that. Is that a Thetan, or are you just glad to see me? So I have this kind of a crude, zoomed in, I guess I'm going to blow up each one of these charts. It's going to be difficult for me. Let's start with New Zealand dollar. What are the trades coming up next week? Where do we want to buy? Where do we want to sell? Where's the kill zone? So this is kill zone theory. Turtle soup theory. Where's the next turtle soup going to show up? So you get out your trusty rectangle. The first thing we're going to pick out is the zones, and then we can put trend lines on next. For all the technical analysis, momentum, so we're going to do range analysis. Right now, since I blew up the chart, we are down near the bottom of the chart, son. This is like buy territory down here. I don't want to talk about the trades we missed. Let's just talk about the future only. I'm a total seller, so this is the little shelf thing I was talking about. If you look at this little spot, this is a heavy duty. There's a higher, there's a shelf of tickets, and this one too. Notice this pocket. It's just dense as you know what. There, I said it. So you got to commit. On this chart, I would say all next week, I'd start selling here. My first sell ticket, I'm selling for the next 100 pips. Why? And then I'm going to sell, for the whole week, I'm selling 200 pips north. And I'm just going to lay track. I swear to God, this broker I'm dedicating to swing trading. I'm just going to lay, and I have a little, right here, I'm going to have a scalp bank built in. They're going to last all fucking week. I just refuse to keep dropping this shit. Or maybe they'll last all day, but I mean, it's too much work. So at the end of the day, and same thing on the buy side. Buy limits down here all week long. So I'm just picking the last known high and the last known, I'm going to call this a fractal. Now, I don't want to go to the 4-hour chart because my head explodes on the 4-hour chart. I just get, like, I literally feel like I'm in a room with, let's see, 6 times as many hot chicks because you got 6 bars a day. Yeah, I'm on that. I'm using that bus to go on that pub crawl. Oh, that was you? Yeah. Well, I'm in rehab now, but you should see me on the weekends when I swing trade. So if we're going to say, I'm going to give myself an allowance. My parents used to do that, but I'm going to do it to myself I'm going to find 10 places to put 10 single tickets in here, risking no more than, on average, 100 pips. So I have 80 pip stops, 60 pip stops, 40 pip stops, 20 pip stops. So from 20 to 100 pip stops, I'm going to run 10 tickets in that pocket all week long. all week long, dude. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about, oh, the market's over. So, dude, I got tickets and I'm good. Now, if I see it, I'll look at my phone. Or if I get you can have an email alert. So when you get filled on some of these tickets, I think you could have MetaTrader email you. So you're going to find out, look, I'm in this trade. Then the hard part, I guess, is do I take it off? Do I plan my trade and trade my plan? Do I wait till it hits target? That's going to be the hard part. Because unless you built in that you're going to risk 50 to make 25 and it's already out, then you're like, damn, wish I would have stayed in that one longer. Okay, you're not a person that's trying to milk every pip, obviously. Otherwise, you'd be strapped in, or you have a cluster of orders down there. So instead of this being just a 10K to be a swing trader to get out here and start selling here and just go back and forth, up and down. So if you're a person committed to buying this trade you missed, we'll just talk about the trade you missed. Under the floor, scalp to the floor, you're out. You're probably not, you don't care too much now, but how close to the market are you going to come in this week? So for me, it's going to be everything below here is a buy, everything below. And so for this 100 pips of noise, I don't have to participate in that. Especially if I'm trading 13 instruments simultaneously with tickets, and it wouldn't make a difference to me. I wouldn't say stuff like, well, I'm not in two currencies at one time. Well, that's not true if you believe in market structure. And you shouldn't be getting filled on the same, because you're not going to break market structure and everything at the same time, and it's going to be different. But, if you're trading super small tickets, I don't think it matters. And everything's relative. What is super small to you? I know, that's what she's asking. That's what she asked. For a friend. She's asking for a friend. Because that's a New Zealand picture. New Zealand picture is 100 pips to sell above this fractal. It's super sell city above this fractal, obviously. All day, all month, all year. Just like this was a super buy window. Just like this is a super duper buy window when it dipped below the round handle just for a little bit. But actually everything here came right back to the floor on close. Then we came down for one more down. Here's a top become a bottom. Here's a failure, a trend line. All right, here's the, if you want to put the trend, oh, wait, forgot to add the trend lines. Sorry. So let's do some momentum analysis. We already have supply and demand zones that we know exist. And what can we say about the trend line is that the trend line is a real thing. It's good to go all day. And if we draw it on this major top, right on closing prices. So right in the process of breaking the trend line, or we're banging on it. But what about the early birds? The early bird gets the worm and the second mouse gets the cheese, but not always. The second mouse, which I have many second mouse, and that's why the second mouse always gets the cheese and the early bird only gets the worm. So if you're looking for this trend line break, and if you really push it, you find any high, a big high, and you draw a trend line off of that. So now you're looking for, and now you got to change the framing of the chart. And this is going to be a big, drastic psychological shift for me. As soon as I hit this zoom, everything changes. Like my view of the market, the steepness of this, everything changes for me. Because I don't use the moving average, I'm just looking at the structure and the depth of this market. One zoom in and I'm like, holy shit, there's so many trades on here. Now I'm seeing like, oh my God, you mean I could have just done this trade down here? Bought the new lows from a couple days ago? And make like, how many pips is that? Wow. I start to see this trade. You mean, now this is quite a collapse, but look at this. Just nick that fractal, and you made some pips. Here you lost. Here you, well, you'd have to really be able to handle this plunge. But if you could handle it, now you have to zoom out again to find out why it's turning around there. Why did it turn around there? Because it's such a deep ass supply zone. So you're falling through this floor here, but when you came down into that, so when you zoom in, everything changes. Everything changes. It becomes like a completely different. And then you go for the. I gotta redraw these boxes. So on the chart that's on the 4-hour window, on the daily window, if you go to the 4-hour chart, I gotta zoom in. So if I zoom in like this, and I'm saying stuff like, God, I can't believe these, I just can't believe some of these entries here, like, here's the one that never really went anywhere. It was trying to get the party started. So if you're going to scalp out of something, then this little pullback window, you can't really see this when you're looking at the zoomed out views. So really the way you just zoom in and out is calling out the trade for you. Really, I think. It's telling you this is just a beautiful topping on the bottom. Clear out this little mini vac, and then you zoom in again, and everything changes really pretty intensely, I think. Now I'm seeing this trade all of a sudden, which I didn't see a minute ago. Because every time I zoom in, the frame at time's changing, but the candlesticks are all still the same. And I'm like, oh, God, we could have bought this fucker for a 50 to 70 pip scalp. Damn it. Look at this one. You just nick the low of the day here. Wow. What a trade. It's crazy how you can really see it. But if you zoom out, you're like, you say you got a trade in here? You mean to tell me you made money down here? How's that? Market's tanking like a whore. You went long there? Yes, because I would just like I'd go long here in this little spot. And how many pips is that worth? So when I look at the chart, I immediately, like when I look at the, I guess a guitar fretboard, I'm like, oh, I can see all the fucking scales. It's like I can see all the scales in there very easily. But that's because, you know, the scales are really just filtering out some of the notes. And time's filtering out the notes for you here. So not everything's happening. All these little fractals that start popping, it's bing, 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 bing. Now people say failure swings, but during this whole phase on the daily, you could be scalping that and make quite a chunk of money, I think. Sure, there's these classic structure issues, but this is not a perfect topic on the bottom. It blows through it, you know. This I just missed this entry here, so this is another classic. Okay, so go back to the big picture here. So this is, I'm still on New Zealand dollar. I'm never going to get through this video. So we've done our analysis on that. That's done. Trend line's breaking. We want to be a buyer down here. We're a seller up here. Let me just mark off. Maybe I should just blow through the charts and I'll do my 10-second analysis. Okay, we want to sell the Canadian dollar if it goes up here. We want to buy the Canadian dollar if it goes down there. So this is about how crude it gets. Australian dollar is a buy if it takes out the low of, if it goes down here, it's a buy all week long. And all week long, it's going to be a sell up in the nosebleed section on the same shelf that you're seeing on the New Zealand dollar. Next sell window. So 100 pip buy and sell windows. It's pretty simple trading, I think. It's grid trading. It's going to be swing trading here this week in this currency. I'm going to just do this account. Hopefully I can reset this account to an even number so I can assess it. I think you can see my next trades here. It's just going to be tough, I think, for people that want complexity here. They're just going to be brokenhearted by no Sierra charting going on tonight. And this is going to be the buy window for the dollar versus the yen. As far as selling it, sure, I would sell a scalp up here, but I think it's, yeah, I'd sell up there. I think the thing's going to be buy, and then I'll sell up there. The next obvious trade is to buy the dollar Swiss. And it looks like the dollar Swiss might just have to crush lower. Whereas this one bounced a little bit of a wick forming. This one has a wick, which means we're kind of done here. We're just going to chop around. We're pulling back on the last prices here, so it's chopping around. But you could still range trade it. The British pound is, I think, pretty pissed off about what happened to it last week here. It just got crushed into the major buy window. So see how these are all doing the same thing in a sense. Everything is crushing into new lows on the dollar pairs, the dollar against other currencies. So these three are on the same page. This one just moves a lot more pips. This moves a few pips, and this moves barely. Any one of these trades, I got the buy limits sitting down here. You know, as far as the sell side goes, those are going to be scalps because I think in the end, looking at the British pound here, when you see as you zoom into this chart, everything changes, I suppose. This is kind of unsustainable. And besides Boris, you went fundamental arguments. Notorious Boris, Boris the Spider is leaving. This is the floor. Let's pick a different color. I know I could really do a weekend update in about 10 minutes, but I get so fucking sidetracked because there's so much shit to look at. It's not my fault. Blame the market. Blame the white man. So blame the institutional traders on what I'm doing here. If they only understood, if you only knew what I know, what they know about my restaurant habits. I went to the restaurant this morning. I must have looked sleepy because this chick brings me coffee, but she looked like she needed the coffee. Like, I think it was kind of a... So those are all the sell windows. And then what else got left here? Okay, that was that. That's that. They're just going to buy this if it plunges, buy that if it plunges, buy this if it comes down to here, buy this if it comes to here, sell into this somehow for some choppy whoppies up here. This is quite a vacuum above us. I don't think we're just going to go ripping back. So the trade was kind of, on the 4-hour chart, it showed up too on the dollar CAD. Last week's vacuum initiative. I have to come up with really clever, because the order block's taken. Liquidity rape. I'm going to get another advertisement for people that like to be molested. So we banged off that floor, and then it came down and just snuck in and just wiped everybody out. Nobody could see it coming because nobody could see this supply zone. Nobody could see it. Not even, well, I saw it. So you could have traded that. Oh, oops, wait, hit a wrong button. Do I really need level? Can I ask? I'm asking for a friend. Do I need level 590 and level 5 analysis to see this fractal wicking? Yes, you do, son, because you didn't pay your copyright fees on the last time that we told you we was going to fine you if we found you trading that fucking ICT shit without his authorization. the wicks. So that what is that guy's site? Wicks matter? No shit. If you place a ticket based on every fractal gets a ticket, that'd be 5, 6, 7K. 7K. Where's your market profile? How do you know? This is high probability, right? But it's not high probability that it's going to keep going this way. Was it a high probability that this was a good place to buy? Yeah, so is this a high probability. So is this. This did not fill. If you're buying on fractals, yes. Is it a high probability it's going to make this many pips? No, that's pretty rare. So when you come back here, now these ratios, these are real propelling. These markets rip. When it does this one, dollar CAD, you're buying this wick, you're buying this wick. This is the 4-hour chart. You buy here, you buy. Got a 50 pip stop. You're looking to make 100. You make 100. You make 150. You make 200. You make almost 250. Does this price matter? I think so. Does this top matter? Yeah. Does any of this matter now? No. No. So I'm just talking about the trades you missed. How can we see it coming forward to us, though? How's that helping us now? Start over. You should be able to redraw this very quickly. You buy down here. You sell up here, and you place limits in and see what happens. That's my only another sell window. God, the next buy has got to be. This is all buy his territory. All next week. Go to the daily chart. Wow. That makes sense. Daily to 4 hours, 6 bars. The euro dollar. Same stuff. Gonna buy down here. And if I sell up here, I'd be kind of careful in a sense, only because if we come ripping through this floor, it'll be pretty brutal. But that's probably going to take all week. And this shelf up here is my sell shelves. Like huge sells here. Huge. If you ever come back here, it's going to be mind-blowing, but it's going to take so much time. So if I come in here aggressively and I buy this next 100 pip window on limits all the way to here next week, yeah, I'll sell up here for scalps because it get up in here, it come back, right? Just like this, gets up here, it comes back, and there's a whole bunch of drama to be had on the dailies. So big buy window here, big sell window above. If it went to the weekly, it'd be like selling above last week's highs, to put it bluntly. So to be blunt, let me go to the weekly chart. Try to be as blunt as possible. Blunt and glib, this is what we do here. Forex blunt and glib. You're always going to sell. I'm always going to sell. Weekly highs. Weekly highs. And weekly lows. So this would have been a ball crusher, but you would have known this is going to come, right? You know this is happening. If you don't have the right stop, it's not going to work. If you can't sell this 100 pip window, or you can't buy this to make this. Actually, it opened, went down, and at some point here, it did come back up. So you would have made money. This is the weekly chart. Buying in this pocket for this move, selling in this pocket. So the weekly is going to be way bigger stops. Here's a cute little doji. Here's a buy window on the weekly. Cash out. Sell. Short. Cashed out of something here. Short. But now this is the euro dollar. Hey, I'm ready to buy down here again. I'm ready, Freddy. Count me in. Pencil me in. Pencil me in. Let's get to the dollar index, which I don't trade, but let's do the... This is probably the easiest thing to look at. It's the smoothest data, I think. I think. And this looks like it's ready for a tumble into this window. I think we totally like the people that sold up into that. If you go to the monthly charts, you know, how is this not a place to sell? Anything above these two fractals on the monthly, dollar's out of control. Dollar's insane. But I don't trade it. But you missed your sell on the top of that for the scalp. If you go to the 4-hour chart, which is probably a little more interesting, very interesting. Here you can see the respect for the 100-yard line. Maybe not so much. I think I would scalp that. Here's your top tick Tommy sells. Here's your structure. You make money all week not really having any kind of trend trade. Another example, let me just make it so obvious that what I see to be the trends here. So no trend, no trend. Kind of a trend, but I'm going to call this trend, no trend. Kind of tough here. Here's a big trend. But this is kind of nonsense. Range traders, trend, range trading, trend, range trading, trend. That's tough. I don't know. This is just like range trading to me because of that wick. Range trading trend, range trading trend, range trading trend, trend, range trade. Maybe trend down, trend up. So those trends are pretty short-lived there. That's my thumbnail analysis. Quick and dirty. We like it quick and dirty because it's a hump and dump. I'm not getting married to any of these trades. Hump and dump analysis 101. How to hump and dump without feeling guilty. I'm sure that's going to get me some more robots selling me more stuff, but you know, it is what it is. That's what the guy kept saying. It is what it is. That's a whatever. It's throwaway comments. Whatever, like I'm so sure. Oh, it looks like you picked out every price level. What the fuck was that about? I thought you were going to give me an entry window. Then there's the Earl market. Oh my God, I can't handle this color. What the fuck is this color? Oh God, this is just annoying as shit. It's okay in small doses. Make it dark and lovely. Not that that's helping, but crude oil. Big structure pivot here was missed. We could have taken any of these trades, of course. We didn't, so the next thing to do is think about buying anything below here next week is a complete buy to me. And I would bet the ranch that I don't have on this whole area for buying. The weekly is like great buy city. Buy city on the weeklies down in this big vestibule. And selling, I'd say, anything above here. Let's go to silver. Wow, big buy. Big buy on silver here. Buying all next week down here. I don't think I'd sell till it approaches like this floor again. Looks like we could come back to this low. Gold. So gold fell through the floor, which we suspected was on the weekly, fragile weekly vacuum. Anything below this wick, we knew there'd be hell to pay, but this is the time to be a buyer. Big buys have been executed on the fading the fractal, so to speak. Buy. Oh my God. Big buys there. So looking for a retracement on gold. I think we already got it. We got it to the floor, and that trade's over. Now I'd be a buyer again, in a column of limits down here, I'm going to say we're going to pick a zone here. Pick a good buying color. Let's go for Dodger. Dodger blue buys. Well, Roger my Dodger. Royal blue. Well, I just got a barometric pressure shift. It's really flipping me out here. I got my window open. My ears just like I sort of got like it's thunder. That's what it is. Distant thunder barometric pressure shift kind of just blew my ears out. But so buying down here in this gold window. Yeesh. Oh, that's I got a bit. I want a different color. I'm using barometric pressure for my entry technique. I didn't want to say anything earlier. But yeah, this looks like I wouldn't even, like, so if I'm long gold, I'm going to hold till we hit this price. I think it's going to be the exit price, somewhere around here. But yeah, the gold really took it on the chin. Look at the weekly. And that was the, anything below here is a buy for the scalp for the dead cat bounce. So anything there, we nailed that in a sense. All these price levels are valid. So let me just wrap it up with Bitcoin and the Ethernet coin. Somebody tell me it's called Ethereum, but I think it's Ethernet. I think this is based on how much electricity goes over your modem, this currency pair. You see you missed the buy window. Here's the scalp I'd be short right now. I'd be short into this window. A daily chart. I put my buy limits down here. Obviously below that fractal is good enough for me. Nothing fancy going on here. Bitcoin. I'm so glad that guy said he was going to set up a hedge fund to short Bitcoin. When did he do that? I think he did that right about here. Right about, let me see, when he opened his Bitcoin shorting program was right here at the bottom. So maybe he got a few shorts in, a couple people shorted on his platform. So they got this trade off, a couple of these bounces here, but we have structure issues now in the daily. People are eyeing this loss of momentum. It's going to be too much to do trendline analysis on this, but the loss of momentum here in this little slot where there's a pivot, a real pivot on the daily. There's real pivots there, son. And you know, for the people that are scalping short, they're up on their trades. The people that sold above this, there's two kinds of traders, the guy that sold into this window and the guy that bought into the plunge of, say, this area. It's like, yeah, I bought that plunge, and I was kind of hoping I was going to start selling into the top of that, and you know, confirmation traders, I think, have pulled the trigger here, thinking this is the pivot, and this is where it's all going to turn about. So if you zoom out, you know, the dream of the bulls is we're going to smack into this floor, and the sellers are going to come in there. Otherwise, it's buy city down in. Anything below here is my buy. Buy. Sell above that fractal for a kickback to here. Buy here for a bounce to this. I don't think you need anything more than that. Don't need Fibonacci. Don't need Robinacci. Okay, so that's the weekend update. I don't think that helps one bit, but listen, I'm only here to complain. I think I do a pretty good job of that. Thank you. Thank you very much.